On behalf of Veterans of Politics International, I would like to thank you both for coming this evening. Just to give you a brief overview of this process, the panel members will have 30 seconds to introduce themselves. After that, the candidates will be given 1 minute to introduce themselves and the office they're running for, as well as why they're seeking our endorsement. Keep in mind that this is not a debate, it is an interview, so any question that is asked of you and any response will be directed to us as well. Once a panel member asks you a question, you will be given 1 minute to answer their question. I won't be rude and stop you mid-sentence, but we are on a time frame, so I'll start going like this, and I would hope that you respect that to be respectful to your fellow candidate. At the end of the question and answer portion, each candidate will be given 1 minute to give their closing statements, their information, where we can contact you, etc., so on and so forth. So to get started, my name is Talicia Sandoval. I'm currently a political science major at UNLV and pre-law. I work for Sherelle Mendenhall's campaign, as well as Mr. Michael Broadway next to me here.
Hi there. Thanks for coming, guys. I know it's a little bit late. I'm glad you made it. My name is Michael Broadway, and I am a real estate broker.
Hello, my name is Karen Sanglaza. I'm a resident of Clark County, and I am a software engineer.
Okay, to give your introductions, we'll start with you, Miss. Could you tell me how to pronounce your last name? I'm so sorry.
2 H's, Ashurst.
Ashurst?
That's
okay.
correct.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Denise Ashurst, and I am running for Assembly 23, which is the district, Boulder City, all the way down to Laughlin, Horizon, and Horizon East. I have been a military veteran. Well, I'm military retired, 20 years in the Air Force. Went to work for the Department of Energy and retired 13 years after serving at the Nevada test site. I decided to run because sitting on the sidelines is no longer an option. I feel like I have been prepared for such a time as this with my military career, just my career in the ministry, working with girls from all ages around the world. And just being a role model for them is like my number one thing to do. But more than that, our country has taken the wrong turn. And the trajectory that it's on, I plan to change.
Thank you, Mr. Lier.
Yes, my name is Dan Lier, running for District 23 State Assembly. I have lived in Henderson since 2003 and raised 2 kids here. They're both graduated from college and living independently. And let's see here. I played college basketball, which was a big part of my life, from a development of leadership, overcoming adversity, teamwork, etc. Won a couple national titles. Then I was a college basketball coach. Then I went out to work for Tony Robbins, where I was influencing people and helping people live their best life. And now I have a speaking and training company here in Las Vegas, and I do keynote talks and training and consulting. The reason I'm running is I want to make a difference. We need leaders. We have too many followers. We have followers in leadership positions, and we need leaders who aren't afraid to tell the truth. That's what I do, and I bring people together as well. So, people talk about the challenges that are going up in Carson City with, people, the Democrats won't talk to the Republicans, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I'm going to change that because I know how to bring people together and find a common solution that works for both of us. Went through a couple years of chemotherapy. I feel like it's my next, a fresh start on life. I'm just ready. It's the right time for me.
Thank you very much. All right, if we could get started with what it means to be an assembly person or assemblywoman/assemblyman, and what it is that you uniquely bring to the table. We'll start with you, Ms. Ashurst.
So I'm not sure if you're familiar with the assembly, but it's similar to our national government. You have the president, you have the Congress, the Senate, then the Congress. And the state, on the state side, you have the governor, you have the Senate, and then you have the assembly. So the assembly, we make laws. Simple as that. That's all we do is make law. You normally are put on a commission or a board or a council of some kind that plays to your strength. I would think VA obviously would be for me since I'm a veteran. Working with girls puts me in suit for either trafficking or talking about preventing abortions. That's probably my number one thing. And then I think maybe the water district, because the water situation in Nevada, because I live in Boulder City and that is the home of Hoover Dam. So I think that those 3 positions are suited for me because my background is that.
Thank you, Mr. Lier.
Yes. Just obviously what Denise said about what we do is we make the laws. We go there, we legislate, if you will. We attempt to fix bad bills, and we attempt to bring forward positive bills. And again, like I said, I feel like I'm in a perfect position for that. I'm a great negotiator. I bring people together. I can influence people. And I think that where I would belong is, I went through the health situation with my chemotherapy, and during the tail end of my recovery period, we were canceled by our health insurance company for being 10 days late on a payment. So I'm definitely focused on healthcare. If it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. It crushed our family. It ruined our family financially. I'm also an educator. I have a teaching degree, both college and high school. I don't teach, but I'm capable of teaching. So what's going on right now in our schools just crushes me. I know the value of a positive education for kids and how it can set them on the course for success or for failure. And what's happening right now is just breaking my heart. I'm a small business owner, so I want to, do right by the small businesses, build economic prosperity, obviously keep the taxes low and take the mandates away.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Lier, you say you're a small business owner. Could you elaborate on that, please?
Yes, I own a company called Level 10 Consulting. We're a training and consulting company. So I get hired by companies to come in and do keynote talks. So for instance, last week I was in Houston for a company called Sun State Equipment. They had 520 salespeople and operations people there. And I delivered a 90-minute presentation on how to be the best you can be. So it was inspiring, gave them tools to win. And so that's what I do. So I also do executive coaching. I work individually with executives to help them, whether they're looking to be better leaders, better sales professionals, husbands, wives, parents. And I do sales training and leadership training. I also have a virtual training platform that I developed prior to the pandemic because I thought I was going to die. So I put all my stuff on virtual training. So we train live and we train virtually, and we do it custom. So we've been doing that since I got here in 2003.
Thank you so much.
What improvements have to be made in our education system? I know no one's touched on that.
Is that for me?
Both?
Okay.
We can start with you, Ms. Ashurst, though.
Okay. You call me Denise. So we have seen, I don't know if you know it, but our education system is 50th in the state. We are at the bottom. I think it's been recorded as 49 to 50, but that's still not an improvement in any kind of way. So I think school choice is obviously number one, and not vouchers. I don't want the government to have their hand in it, but the money that the children have in school should follow the child to the school that they would want, that their parents want them to go to. Also, I am a product of public schools, so I don't want to do away with public school. Not everyone could go to private school. Maybe it's a money issue. Each child only gets $6,000 a year, so that's not a lot of money. And if you know anything about schools that are private, they cost a lot of money. So I think we need to reform the public school as well. One of the things is taking out CRT, critical race theory, and anything that indoctrinates a child outside of math, social studies, and reading. So that is probably my big B, especially being a new grandma of a 1-year-old. I'm looking at her future and the future of all our children to be able to have a good, solid education, not an indoctrination.
Thank you, Mr. Lier.
Yes. Wow. Where do you start, right? So I'm attending events, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm understanding who does what. And, we always talk about how do we diversify Nevada, bring new businesses to Nevada. And that's what I'm hearing all the time. And it goes right back to the schools. How can we attract new businesses here when we're 49th or 50th or 51st in education? And of course, our medical system is jacked up. So, but we're on the education thing, I know right now. And I think it's just, it's heartbreaking. I think 2 out of 3 of our elementary kids are not reading. 5 out of 6 of our middle school kids are not proficient at math. Only 33% of our graduating students pass the ACT or are proficient at the ACT. So we've got a big challenge. Our teachers are paid 21st in the nation. And nobody, I was at all these CCSD meetings, the big indie talks a couple weeks ago with John Ralston. They can't tell us where the money's going. And so I don't know how to fix it, but I'll figure it out. We get the right people on board because we've got to do better for our children. And of course, also they introduce this restorative justice stuff that we have to pull back. And I'm happy to explain that later. So thank you.
Thank you.
So a lot of small groups come together and they go over to Carson City in hopes that their polls for legislation are heard. So, for an example, UNLV has a club and they want our legislation to understand their needs. So, how would you, as an assembly person, reach out to small groups like that and ensure that they are actually heard?
Sure, good question. So one of the things I do is I work with young girls around the world making right choices. As a constituent myself, I know that in the past it's been hard to get a hold of my legislator. I think as a legislator, we need to make ourselves visible and available to our constituents. This is the people who have sent us to this place to make law for them. If we're not talking to our community, we're not talking to our youth, our college students we're the role models for them, first of all. And if we're not listening to what they have to say, then we have no business being legislators. Legislators are people who make law. The only way you can make law is to listen to those who want laws to be their way. And then you make the decision of how the law is going to come out. But I feel that every legislator and anybody in politics need to be in their community as much as possible.
Could not agree more. Mr. Lier.
Same question or no? Same thing? Yeah.
Same thing.
So Denise is right on the mark with that. And I think it really, if I could back that up even more, I think it starts with the mindset of the person running for the office. I feel Denise is in it for the right reasons as well. And if you're in it for the right reasons, you have an open mind and you care about your constituents and you want to know about your constituents. If you're running for the wrong reasons, then you're just trying to, I don't know what you're doing. But my goal is to go in there and help the people of Nevada. Whoever those people are, I want to help the people of Nevada. And I'm accessible. If anybody's tried to reach me, they can get me. Whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whether it's my phone number, I'm available. And I call people back. So I'd be the easiest guy to find. I can't hide. And I'm anxious to help people of Nevada.
I'm curious where you both stand as far as Second Amendment, concealed carry, open carry. I'll start with you, Mr. Lier.
Yeah. I'm a Second Amendment guy. Definitely believe we need to have guns. I'm a licensed concealed and carry person, if you will. I think that's the right way to say it. So that's where I stand. We need to protect our gun laws. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to carry a weapon if you have a proper license and proper training. Did you have a different question about that? No. Okay.
We have open carry here, and then we have CCW, and we have regulations on how many bullets your magazines can hold and all that.
Yeah. That stuff, it seems like it changes every state you go to, right? So, I'm not, be transparent, I'm not up on all the clips and all the rules and all the magazines, but I have a CCW permit. I'm all about that. And I think I'm a 2A guy. 2A to stay.
Thank you.
As a military person, I swore to support and defend our Constitution and to defend or to fight against enemies that are foe or domestic. That statement says a lot. Our Constitution should not change in one iota. We have the Second Amendment for a purpose. Now, we're not farmers anymore. We don't hunt. We don't hunt for food and things like that. So it's more recreational today. So I get the divide in that, but it's our right to carry a weapon. If you know anything about our community, not just in my district, but all districts, we have a lot of single moms. Single moms are carriers, and we're seeing more of it because of the violence that we are seeing across the country. So in that sense, why would we not be for weapons, whether concealed or otherwise, is to protect yourself for that purpose.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to get into BDRs, or otherwise known as bill draft requests. When you are elected, you get 5 that you are allowed to propose. So what are those 5 off the top of your head, and why? We can start with you, Denise.
Okay, so I have a list on my brochure. One would be school choice. Obviously, we talked about that. One would be not defunding the police. We talked a little bit about that. I think, obviously, abortion is one of my number one concerns. Trafficking, open borders. I mean, these things, that's 5 right there, but I could keep going because these things all blend together and it makes for an unsecure country, unsecure district, my district. So those are the 5 things that I would be looking at bills if I was honored enough to be on those boards or those committees.
Thank you, Mr. Lier.
Yes, I too would be focused on education, some type of a school choice situation. I'm also all about, CISLAC did the emergency, I'm not sure what you call it, but we need to make an adjustment on that as far as how long we can be in this emergency mode. So that would be one of my, that's a constitutional thing. I mean, so that would be another one. I would love to find a way, I don't know how to do it yet, but really get involved and help our healthcare system. We've got, there was a bill that was passed in the last legislation. I believe it was SB 420 that essentially is going to turn our healthcare system into socialized medicine. And it's got like a 4 or 5 year ramp up. So we've got to take things back and we've got to destabilize that, if you will, to save, it's going to bankrupt our healthcare system. So that's another one I'd like to focus on. And if, like I said, all the things that all Americans are focused on, which is the border, we've got water issues, we got all kind of stuff going on. So that's the page that I'm on.
Thank you.
Okay, so a lot of people in my family, they do work in the healthcare industry. So my question would be, well, our biggest concern really is doctors, nurses, healthcare professionals being required to take the vaccine, like against their will. So what would be your take on that issue?
Okay, so we have something called HIPAA. And everybody has the right to make the decision if they want to take a shot or not a shot. I understand the safety of all as a country, but because of that law, each person should have the right to their body. And people talk about choice all the time, so it's kind of hypocritical to say choice for one thing and not choice for another. But if we go back to those HIPAA laws, that requires us, there used to be a saying, always, how do they put it, get a second opinion. And all of a sudden, that's out of the window. No second opinion. It's do this or do that. So that, is, again, is a dictatorship type of style, and that's not what our country's about.
Thank you. Mr. Lier.
Yes. I think the question was about vaccine mandates for doctors and physicians.
For any profession, for that matter. Yeah, all of them.
Well, I'm against all of it. So, I mean, again, freedom of choice, all the lunacy that's taken place over the last 2 years is just ridiculous. And you see the hypocrisy involved where the first responders are our best friends and our heroes. And then all of a sudden they're fired because they don't have a vaccine and they've been taking care of these people the whole time. So I'm not in favor of any of that. It's against the Constitution. It's ridiculous. It should be a person's right to choose if they want a vaccine or any type of medicine for that matter.
Thank you. Anything else?
Okay. So what's one issue, particularly in your district, that you're most passionate about?
I meet with my constituents every Tuesday, 9 to 10 at a local coffee shop. And everybody, I think we as Americans, it's what is current. And right now, inflation is current. Everybody's talking about the lack of machinery, the lack of groceries. So the economy is number one right now. My number one, I already said. But for my constituents, I do believe it is inflation, but also water. I get 1 or 2 on that. And that's something that we all should be concerned about, because if that basin dries up like me, then we're not here. So that's important. But the constituents, it's all about inflation and where our country is taking us.
Mr. Lier?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. What's one issue, particularly in your district, that you are most passionate about?
Well, Denise said that most people, I mean, I'm knocking on doors almost every day, and people are frustrated about the economy and inflation. Obviously, I'm focused on that, but also people are upset about education, and I have more passion for education. So that's where I would want to dig my feet in. I care about the parents. The parents deserve to send their kids to the school of their choice. The kids right now are getting not getting a fair deal. They are not getting a fair deal. So that's where my passion is. It's not like the economy is not important, because it is. And I'm a small business owner. And the people that I talk to every day, I'm knocking on their doors. Many of them are on fixed incomes. So there's something they're very focused on. But I'm very passionate about education.
Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to talk about was the NRS statutes being rushed. Now, if you are unaware of that, basically what has happened is that there was a set number, and the first 3 they took their time on, and then they rushed the rest of, I think it was like 182 of them in the last 53 days. So basically what that means is that in these NRS statutes, there's pages and pages and pages of legislation and things that they need to be read through. So what would your initiative be to stop that? Or if you think that that's okay, elaborate on that as well.
Geez. Well, first of all, I didn't know that. Secondly, it just reminds me of the stuff that happens on the national scale, where they throw the big bills out there, the $1 trillion bills or whatever, and they're 5,000 pages, and they give them a weekend to look at it. Right. So it's the same type of thing. It's just pushing it through. Let's just push it through and deal with it later. So I don't know what I could do about it, but I'm sure not in favor of it. That's for sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, I believe in the priority system. And being in the military, there's a lot of things that are thrown at us as well that have to be done. And the first thing you do is make a list of priorities, and you start dealing with those. Now, when you're talking about politics, that's a whole nother ballgame, because people have lobbyists, they have favorites, and there's a lot of push and pull when it comes to that. We could only do what is in front of us. I would listen to those who are a lot more smarter on NRS than I am and go from there. So the first thing would be to talk to people, prioritize, and then go from there. I don't see any other way when the list is so long. Everything's important to somebody. So to me, it would be the first thing is to prioritize, get with people who are smarter than I and work through it.
Okay, so how would you also feel about, and you can continue and then we'll jump back to you. How would you also feel about maybe taking away some of these statutes? Because
absolutely. Absolutely. Because you'll probably have duplication. I mean, like Dan said, there's so much, it's so convoluted. Who has actually went through it other than the person who is interested in whatever item they are talking about? But most of it probably could be just sifted through, take out everything that's duplicated first and foremost, and then again, prioritize, what is most important to your constituents or to the people of Nevada. I mean, because in the long run, we work for the people of Nevada, but we are first concerned with our constituents. So I think that's a broad brush of how to tackle that. But if I were to be asked, that's the way I would answer it.
Mr. Lier.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've never been up there. I've never been a part of that process. So the question is, would you be willing to get rid of some of those? And the answer is yes, because I feel like anything that the government seems to do is heavy and thick and messy. So yes is the answer. But again, I've never been up there and don't know how it works. But yes.
Alrighty, so I'm going to give you both about a minute or so to give your concluding statements. First and foremost, I would like to commend both of you for having such agreements with one another and being very cordial. A lot of the times people forget that this is not a debate. Alrighty, well, go ahead and look at the camera, give where they can find your information, your campaign, etc., so on and so forth, and then also why they should vote for you at home, not just us for the endorsement. We can start with you, Mr. Lier.
Okay. Yes, my name is Dan Lier, and I feel like this is the right place for me. And you mentioned that Denise and I get along well. I get along with everybody, and so does she, and that's the way it ought to be. She came to my meet and greet a couple nights ago. But like I said, I've been through a lot. My kids are gone. I went through a couple years of chemotherapy. I almost died. This is my second chance, and we need leaders. I mean, we have followers in leadership positions on both sides of the aisle, and we need leaders that aren't afraid to tell the truth. I'm skilled at speaking. I'm a great negotiator. I know how to influence people and bring people together. And this is the time. This is the time we need people to step up, and we need people to follow through on American values and get back to what made this country great. And I'm just the guy to do it. The choice is clear. Vote for Dan Lier.
I love that. So Dan and I, we do get along. And that's one of the reasons why I am running to do exactly what we're doing, dialogue. I think we've gotten to the point where we're not dialoguing. It's my way or no way. I'm a New Yorker. Your guy went 4 years. My guy went 4 years. And we go to the Yankees game. It never got to this point to where politics is such a divider in families and siblings. It's just gotten out of hand. So I am a peacemaker. It's what I've done all my career. Started off as a cheerleader in high school. It takes a lot of dedication, commitment. Military takes a lot of dedication and commitment. The same thing at the test site. You're dealing with some serious things there, and it takes dedication and commitment and a desire to want to change things, a desire to want to help people. That's my motto, basically. But I go back to my tagline, sitting on the sidelines is no longer an option. And if you are not running, you need to be supporting the candidate. If you're not supporting the candidate, you need to be volunteering. So that is my number one go-to, is that we all need to get off the sidelines, and we have to save our country. This country is imploding, and we are the last of the Mohegans, so to speak. I'll probably get canceled for saying that, but we are the generation. You guys are the generation that is going to change the trajectory that our nation is on.
Well, I think I speak on behalf of everyone when I say that we could not agree more, and thank you for your time. That concludes our Assembly District 23 endorsement interview. Thank you.